We're going to continue with the long division of our numbers, but this time we're going to look at a couple word problems. Alright, so here's the word problem. A school owns 1,256 chairs. They must put 27 chairs in each room. How many rooms can they fill? And how many chairs are left over? So we know that we're putting 27 chairs in each room. So this will be division. So we're really looking at 1,256 divided by 27 and finding out how much would be left over. So let's set this up. And we'll use the right side for our rough work as we need it. Okay, so as we've done in the past, we know that 27 doesn't go into 1, it doesn't go into 12. The first place that we're going to be able to divide, or first number that we'll be able to divide by 27 is 125. So let's designate over here as our rough work area and see what we do. So we have 125 divided by 27. Remember that we are looking at our rounding to the nearest tens. So this is approximately 130. And here we have 30. All right. Now it simply comes down to us looking at what is 13 divided by 3. 13 divided by 3 is 4 times 4 threes 12. We don't care about the remainder, at least not right now. So let's put in a 4. And notice I'm observing where I place things. So it's nice initially to start out with these holders. So hold in your place the 0 zeros. Alright, so let's continue. We're looking at 4 times 27. Alright, let's see what that is. So 27 times 4. 7 4 is 28. Remember, we multiply starting at the ones, and we carry the 2. 7 4 is 28. I wrote down the 8, carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 2, 10. So 108. So we're subtracting 108 from 125. This will require us to borrow. So we have 15 minus 8, which is 7. And 1 minus 0 is 1. So we get 17. We're happy because the value 17 is less than the divisor, which means that we can proceed to bring down the next place value, which is a 6. All right, continuing, we now have 176 divided by 27. Again, let's look at this rounding method. 176 is closest to 180 when I round to the nearest tens. 27 closest to 30, rounding to the nearest tens. This is essentially me looking at 18 divided by 3, which is 6. And so I'm going to put 6 here on the quotient bar. All right, I now have to find out in that product what is 6 times 27. Well, let's go back over here on our rough work. So a lot more rough work than working, it appears. Starting, 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So I end up with 162. I'll subtract. 6 minus 2 is 4. 7 minus 6 is 1. So we end up with 46 and a remainder of 14. So in answering this question, we'll soon check, or rather maybe we should check first, is this really right? Because I want to answer my question. So I'm going to check. We're told that the answer here is 46, remainder 14. For those of you who do fractions, 46 and 14 over 27. All right, what do we do to check? We need to multiply the quotient times the divisor, 46 by 27. All right, remember we have to find our partial products. So the partial product, if I multiply by the 7 first, in fact, let's even take that out and do, so here's 2, and we'll use a different 7. All right, so if I said, what is 46 times 7? 7 is in the units place, 6 7s 42, carry the 4, 7 4s 28, and we get 32. All right, next I'm going to multiply 46 times, it's really 20, but we'll have that placeholder, and we start in the tens place. I'm starting here. 2 times 6 is 12. If you wish, you can either cross out what you had carried before or erase it so it doesn't confuse you. So 6 times 2 was 12, I'm carrying 1. 2 times 4 is 8, and 1, 9. I have all of this to add, and I get 2, this is 4, 1. All right, we're not done yet because we remember we have that remainder. So I have to add the remainder. The remainder is 14. Okay, and when we add this, 4 and 2 is 6. Indeed, we end up with that quotient. All right, so now I'm prepared to answer the question. The question asked, how many rooms can be filled? And we can say 46 rooms. Rooms can be filled. Right? These 46 rooms could be filled with 27 chairs each. So that's part 1. And part 2, we could say how many chairs are left over. How many is left over will be given by that remainder. 14 chairs will be left over. Okay? All right. Let's look at another question. All right, here's the second question. The school board gives 23 tablets to each school. If there are 1,879 tablets available, how many schools in the county will get tablets? Right? So we would then have 1,879 being divided by 23, and setting this up, 1,879 is our dividend, 23 is our divisor. Right, and as usual, I will have my little rough work here. I shouldn't say little rough work. The rough work is actually much more than the actual problem. But this is for you to think about. 23 does not divide 1. It doesn't divide 18. The first place that we're going to look at dividing by 23 is 187. Again, since our divisor is in the tens, we will round or estimate to the nearest tens, and the first number is 190 divided by 20. If we continue, this is my looking at what's 19 tens, or 19 divided by 2, which will give me 9 with a remainder. Right, so let's start off. If I said let's multiply throughout by 9, we're looking at this product, 23 times 9. Let's see what we get. 23 times 9, 9 3s 27. Again, remember we start off by multiplying, starting on the extreme right. 9 times 3 is 27. I carry my 2. 9 times 2, 18, and 2 is 20. If I should go here and write down 207 and try to subtract, we're in a pickle. Right? This number is larger than what we have. Now remember that this is just the 9 here was just a trial. So we will probably have to cross that out and say we've overestimated. So instead, let me just go back. What we're going to have is us starting off again, 1, 8, 7, 9. Let me just take this out of the way. And we would still go back. This was 0, 0. But instead, because this was an overestimate, we're now just going to reduce by 1. Right? So now I'm going to check what is 23 times 8. So 23 times 8. 8 3s 24, carry the 2, 8 2 16, and 2 18. All right. So I'm subtracting 184 from 187. All right, great. We didn't go over this time, and when we subtract, we end up with 3. So we just made it. We're going to continue and bring down the next digit, which is 9. And now we ask, what is 39 divided by 23? You can probably see it already. It will go in once. If you went ahead and let's say that you continued and said, this is close to 40, this is 20. You'd have 4 divided by 2, which is 2. If I did that and said, what is 2 times 23? 2 times 23 would be 46. We'd be going over. And so again, we would see, we have a problem. Let's just this time just erase those, which means that we won't be using 2. We'll have to decrease. We'll have to go down by 1, and 2 decreased by 1 is just 1. 1 times 23, so 1 times 23 is 23, and we're going to subtract that, and we end up with 16 as my remainder. So 81 remainder 16, right? We can check, is this really true, before we start answering the question. So let's check. What we're doing, we're multiplying 81 by 23, and afterwards we will add that remainder. Let me again do this where I use 2 different color. 23, all right. All right, so doing the partial product, multiplying by 3, 3 ones 3. 8 times 3 is 24, so that's done. The next one that we will do, if we multiply by 2, but remember this is really multiplying by 20, so I have a placeholder. 2 times 1 is 2, nothing to carry. 2 times 8 is 16. And we now add. We got 3, 6, 4 and 2 is 6, 2 plus 6 is 8. And now I have to add the remainder. Right, and so when we add that remainder, which was 16, do I get back my dividend? 6 and 3 is 9. So we have 1,879. So I know everything, all the arithmetic was done correctly. I can now answer my question. And the answer to my question is this, that there are, how many schools in the county will get tablets? Well, since the answer here is 81 with a remainder of 16, or 81 and 16 over 23, it's the whole number part. So 81 schools will get 23 tablets each. So that is my answer. Again, remember, if you are doing a word problem, your answer should be in words. Sometimes we'll even ask you to write out the words for the numbers, but in conserving space, I didn't do that here.